Hello 6th grade, how are you today? In this video, we are going to start our story, Alex the Engineer. So, the outcomes of our lesson are students should be able to recognize the idea of the story, read the story, and answer some questions. So, prepare your book and let's start. This is our story, Alex the Engineer. The children, Alex, Phoebe, and Patrick, went to a company, and suddenly the security officer saw them. شافهم, the security officer, and he thought that they are spies. فكرهم إيش؟ Spies means جواسيس. Let's read our story to know what happened. Alex the Engineer. The children were scared. They weren't spies, but they couldn't explain anything. Come with me, said the security officer. At that moment, the engineer who was standing next to him suddenly said, I'm feeling dizzy. He sat down, and a minute later he was asleep. Then the security officer sat down and he too fell asleep. Okay, this is the children and the security officer and the engineer. The security officer thought that they were spies and asked them to come with him. At that moment, نفس اللحظة, the engineer was standing next to him, كان واقف جنبه, and said, I'm feeling dizzy. Dizzy means دائخ. So he sat down and slept. A minute later, بعد دقيقة أو دقائق, the security officer sat down and slept too. كمان إيش صار؟ security officer نام معه. Look at question number 1. Why the children were scared? Scared خائف. ليش كانوا خائفين? Because they weren't spies, but they couldn't explain anything. Excellent. Number 2. How did the engineer feel? كيف كان يشعر الانجينير؟ حكى he felt dizzy. هون زي ما حكى هون I feeling dizzy. Number 3. What did the engineer and the security officer do? What did they do? Okay, the engineer sat down and slept. The security officer also sat down and slept too. How strange, Alex thought. He looked around and saw that all the engineers were sleeping at their computers and the security officers were asleep too. Maybe they are all tired, Patrick said. Come on, now is our chance. Let's go. No, said Alex. There's something strange going on. I've got it, said Phoebe. They were all drinking tea when they fell asleep. There was something in their tea. Maybe the engineer was right, Alex said. He said that this room was top secret. Perhaps there are spies who want the mission to fail. Hello, Houston. They suddenly heard a voice coming through the headsets that were lying on the desk. This is Neil speaking. Anyone there? We need your help up here. Phoebe was very excited. Listen, that's Neil Armstrong. We must help them. Here the children noticed that all the engineers were sleeping. كلهم كانوا نايمين. And Phoebe said that, or she think that there was something in their tea. في إشي بالتي تاعهم اللي خلاهم كلهم يناموا. And suddenly فجأة They hear the sound. What did they hear? This is Neil speaking. Anyone there? Neil بيسأل إذا anyone there here. So the children said that they must help him. لازم يساعدوه. Look at question number 1. What was the strange thing they noticed? The strange thing. Excellent. All the engineers and the security officers were sleeping. Number 2. What did Phoebe think? Excellent. She thinks that there was something in their tea. Number 3. Who was talking with them through the headset? Neil Armstrong. Thank you. A few minutes later, they were sitting at a computer wearing headsets, and Alex was working at the control panel, like this picture. Houston, we are going back to the space capsule. What's your temperature? Asked Alex. 370 Celsius, the voice replied. Oh, that's too high, Alex said. Try cooling the engines a bit. Alex asked him to cooling the engines a bit. Thanks, Houston, cooling the engines right now. Alex was doing really well, talking to them like an engineer and giving them instructions. Half an hour later, the astronauts left the moon and were on their way to the space capsule. Here, the children could help the astronaut. Question number 1. What was Alex doing? Excellent. He was working at the control panel. This is the control panel. Number 2. What was Alex's instructions for Neil? التعليمات اللي أعطاهم إياها. He told them to cool the engine a bit. يعملوا تبريد للمحركات. Number 3. What did the astronauts do at the end? Excellent. They left the moon and were on their way to the space capsule. Hey, what's going on here? Asked one of the engineers, walking up. I am talking to Neil Armstrong. They are on their way back to Earth. Alex replied. You are? What? Asked the engineer. Give me the headset, he said angrily. So Phoebe quickly gave him hers. As the engineer put it on, he heard Neil Armstrong again. Everything is perfect up here. Our new colleague down there's really cool. Congratulations, Houston. Where on earth did you find him? Alex smiled at the engineer and took off his headset. They looked around and saw all the other engineers were sitting at their computers. Again, everything looked normal. Number 1. Where were Neil when the engineer woke up? Excellent. He was working at the control panel. Where were Alex when the engineer woke up? So he was working at the control panel. Number 2. To find out, the pronoun I here refers to excellent, to Alex. And find out an adverb. Excellent. Here we have quickly. Quickly is an adverb. Okay. Thank you. We have finished our lesson for today. In the next class, we will continue our story.